chickens! Hello! Oh, come on. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. And as you saw, I'm having an issue with my eggs. These guys keep chewing up and eating my eggs, and I've been giving them calcium. I've been giving them all the treats that they might need, and still. So I think the next logical thing is just to buy a fake egg. It's like a wooden fake egg that they will peck, that will not, break, and they will not get anything from it. And so hopefully that discourages them from eating actually the real eggs. And now let's take a look at the garden. So here in Ohio, it has not rained, like soaking rain, for over a month now. So everything is very crusty, very toasty. So I have to water my garden pretty regularly these days. And that's okay. It's just like super time consuming. I'm just kidding. I love it. So starting with my garlic bed here, I trimmed off my garlic scapes, as you can see right over here. If you've seen my shorts, the reason that you snip these off is because you actually want a garlic bulb to develop. With hardneck garlics like these, you get a choice. You either have a flower that forms seeds, or you get a garlic bulb. I'm really growing these for garlic bulbs, so I snipped off the flowers. Otherwise, things are looking amazing. I love it. And look, the color on the corn is coming through. If you remember, in this garlic bed, I also planted corn, gem corn in particular, the colorful one. And so it's coming through the leaves, the colors is coming through. It's kind of looking like a hodgepodge of things, but I love it. This is the number one thing. You put the seeds in the ground, water it, and most of the time, things will come up. Here is this bed, the hodgepodge bed. This is the sunflowers. Look at them go. Okay, a little background story if you're new here. I got sunflowers that grew out of some place. I'm not sure. I didn't even plant them. They just grew. And then I'm pretty sure they dropped seeds, and they just kind of started sprouting all over my garden. I picked them up out of my garden. I planted them just in this bed at the end. And yeah, it's so accidental, but so beautiful. So I'm super excited about these guys because last year sunflowers grew ginormous. Ginormous, I'm not kidding you. Next to them, I have a couple of kale plants. I'm pretty sure that's from like last fall planting, but again, not really sure. My zucchinis are coming up. This is my intentional planting, is my zucchinis. One here and one there. Hopefully they fill out nice and big over on this side. Then I have a couple of bushes here. This is edible bush. I don't remember I think it's currant, green currant. Same thing with this little guy. My parents brought him over from Pennsylvania. Then I have currant, maybe, I'm not sure. Another currant. This was raspberries. It died. And then I have a couple of trees. I'm not sure of what, so I'm just leaving them be. In this corner, I sprinkled seeds of quinoa, if you remember. Now, this is the plant that I transplanted along with one over here that died. So I technically only have one quinoa plant, but I sprinkled seeds all over, and I think this might be quinoa plant as well. I don't know about this one because it looks very similar to like a weed plant that grows here in Ohio, same as this one. So because I'm not sure, I'm not going to rip them out. They are very similar looking to this one, so I'm going to kind of just leave them be. I want to know what they are before I start ripping them out. So this is a little bit of a hot mess, but I have faith that something will come up. Then I have my purple basil in the corner here. I love that it actually survived. So go purple basil. And then I have a volunteer tomato. Here in this bed, my irises have succumbed to, already dryness. And then I have a couple of rows of rutabagas, radishes. Actually, I'm getting like decent size radishes forming over there. I'm just not ready to eat radishes right now. Same thing in this row. One thing I am kind of not really excited about is that it's blocking my cucumber seeds. Like I have a cucumber plant somewhere here, right there. And it's kind of being blocked and shaded out, so I don't know how this will work out. But my beans finally took. These are my broad beans. Think like fava beans type of thing. So I am super excited that they are surviving and actually thriving, especially this one right here. Very excited about that. I have random dill coming up over here. I don't remember sowing it, but here it is. And then my milkweed flowers are finally turning green and not yellow and finally starting to grow. My strawberry bed took off and I have been harvesting strawberries literally almost every day. I cleaned out my strawberry patch bed in like February, March area, and I literally ripped up anything that was old, threw them into the chickens, and it looked like I killed all my plants. But as soon as the weather turned to be warm, all of this turned green right away, and then I put some chicken manure on here as well. It was pretty hot compost, but my strawberries loved it. Going on to my tomato bed, if you remember last time, I had to find some volunteers and replant my tomatoes because they really all died. So some of them are still struggling, volunteers that I replanted. So I don't know if this will do. These guys are surviving very nicely. So is that one. Same thing here. So I have quite a few healthy tomato plants that are coming up. Now the trick is that I don't really know what kind they are. So it will be a surprise tomato bed. Some of them are cherry tomatoes, some of them are not, some of them are slicers, some of them are a specific variety, some of not. But the fun thing is that a lot of these are volunteers, meaning that they could have mixed between the tomato varieties, which for some people, if you really want one variety, that could be a bad news. But for me, because I just want tomatoes in general, this is super fun to watch and see what is gonna grow. My other side of the trellis bed, my peas are doing fantastic. I've been snacking on these pretty much every other day. Again, I would have thought that starting these with seed would kind of halt them actually once I planted them outside, but I'm gonna start my peas from seed every year now. These ones I started from seed, planted them outdoors when they were sprouts like this big. And look at them now. They have grown, and I've been snacking from this side right here for about a month now. These guys just now are starting to deliver flowers. And these are the ones that I planted directly in the ground when the ground was ready to be planted. So I know you don't have to have this hassle of starting them from seed, but if you can, do it because it will give you an earlier harvest. At the bottom of the peas, I planted some melons here, and then over there, spaghetti squash. So I'm super excited. Things are coming up. More beans. So these are just regular beans, and look at that, baby beans are coming up. So exciting. They are surviving and thriving. Then I have zinnias, of course, zinnias, and then I planted some lupines. Okay, the devastating pepper bed. I have a couple of peppers that have been surviving, but I mean, honestly, look at this. This is so tiny, and it's been weeks. I'm talking like 3-4 weeks since I planted this. Same thing with this. Look at that. That is just sad, very sad. Same thing here. So I don't have a lot of hope for these peppers. Now, they have surprised me in the past, just like really growing super fast. But I planted some banana peppers from the store. And I think I've told you this before, every gardener has a failure. Mine this year seems to be peppers. So, you know, you just take it one day at a time. It is what it is. You buy some from the store or you start again from seed. What's the worst that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is that you won't have any plants. So just plant a seed. Maybe you'll have a little harvest. Who knows? Here in my corn bed, things are coming up super nicely. I can finally tell apart the weeds from the corn. So I waited until I think yesterday I started weeding them a little bit more. And look at that, my corn is coming up super nicely. This is actually edible corn, sweet corn. So I am stoked for this bed, and I fertilized it very heavily with some chicken manure as well. My garden is not that large, but we have 2 more beds to go, and I'm very excited to to show you what's going on there at the end bed. Here in this herb corner, I got my dill coming up super nicely. My parsley, again, one of those things that are just not growing well. Spinach over here, not too great. Basil could have been doing better. My chives, look at that. That's like not even real chives. More basil over here. Cilantro's doing fantastic. Oregano's doing amazing. And thyme is going wild. Here's that lettuce row that I sowed with seeds. It's finally starting to come up. Again, another thing that I did not think that you should start early. So this lettuce I started from seed right over here. And let me show you what I started indoors. This one right here, I started indoors and planted out. I mean, just look at the difference. I've been harvesting from these two bushes for a month now. Rather than if you compare to the ones that I started from seed, they're barely big enough to eat. Crazy. This area is where I'm supposed to have my onions, literally just a couple of onions. But then I bought these from the store, like green onions for salad, and I used them. And then the rest, I just put them in water. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, why don't I just put them in the ground? And I did. And they're growing. Look at that. Super cool. Now, this is where people would say volunteer plants are a mess, because look at my tomatoes. Tomato, 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 tomato. So volunteer plants can be a hassle. Don't get me wrong, volunteer plants are a lot to deal with. It's like weeding almost, but it hurts your heart because you're ripping out the plants that are actually beneficial, but they just are not growing where you want them to grow. And so this is where people will say, oh my goodness, volunteer plants can be very annoying. But in my case, I really needed them this year. And honestly, I only have one bed of tomatoes. I don't know what kind of variety they are. I don't know what kind of variety these are, but again, it's super exciting because things could have crossed and, being hybrids of all kinds of different varieties. Maybe I'm creating a new kind of tomato. I don't know. I'm really excited. All right, last but definitely not least bed. Here is one of those plants that I wanted to throw away. This is one of my Brussels sprout plants. Spinach, again, sowed them directly from seed. I think I just need to start them early because these are so baby. Carrots are finally coming up, guys. Look at these luscious carrots. This is a weed, but the rest of these are carrots and they're coming up super nicely. I'm super excited about that. Lettuce that I showed you before. This is a kale tree. Look at that. This kale survived from last season. I want to say actually maybe 2 years ago, like when I just started gardening. So look at that tree. Then I have a cauliflower. That should be a purple cauliflower right there. And this should be a couple of Brussels sprouts here. Now, the exciting part, guys. Remember my sweet potato that I buried that I thought will just die and rot? Look at it now. Look at it. It's giving off shoots. Now, with sweet potatoes, I learned that you must take the slips, root those, not the actual potato. Because if you put the potato in the ground, it'll form slips, but nothing else, no more potatoes. So when this potato started forming slips, I kind of broke them off and I put them in the ground by themselves. So I got these 2 slips growing. And so these slips are the ones that I will produce actual potatoes. So don't waste your time and grow a bunch of slips. Grow potatoes by clipping those slips, putting them in the ground by themselves. So that is super exciting. Another exciting thing is this gorgeous thing right here. So back 2 years ago, my parents from Pennsylvania brought me a persimmon tree that has been acclaimed to, cooler weather. That tree was planted here 2 years ago. And last year I didn't cover them. I was like, that's too much work. If it survives, it survives. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, it survived. And then this year I'm like, no way is it going to survive. It's just like a little stick sticking up in the ground. And when it started giving the little green leaf, I accidentally snipped it. I was like, oh shoot, it really started to grow. And boom, I killed it. No, I didn't. Look at it now. Look how many shoots are forming. I'm super stoked about this persimmon. It's supposed to be a tree, but it looks more like a bush right now. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm showing you the good, the ugly, the pretty, all of it, because I want to inspire you to pick up some seeds, to pick up some plants and go garden a little. I hope I encouraged you to start your own plants, your own garden. And thank you so much for being here today. Have a good day, go garden a little, and I'll see you next time. Bye.